Little Miss Mary and the Big Monster Makeover. Little Miss Mary was tired of shopping. All day on her feet, she would be merrily hopping from boutique to salon, from one to the other, asking for this and for that from her mother. I want to have this and I want to have that. This shoe that I bought will look nice with that hat. My open toe sandal are just so passé. If I wear them to school, what will the girls say? I need a new shirt and a dress and a jacket. For tennis, new trainers to match my new jacket, new t-shirts, new blouse, a new friendly bag, the one on display with the hoping price tag. Little Miss Mary mommy was proud. She too always went to the limit allowed on the gold credit card which her husband had given. She knew her excesses would soon be forgiven. Little Miss Mary was a chip of the block. If she could shop, she would shop and ride round the clock, 360 a year and 24/7. Impressive for someone who just turned 11, but hardly a coup when all posh mummies call into Porsche baby pranks. Gucci go, Gucci go. No wonder that Mary's first words to her nanny were Prada, Cabana, Laga, and Armani. Moschino, Versace. Where shall we go next? That's enough for today. You max out the Amex. Any more shopping must wait till tomorrow. There is plenty more money than Daddy can borrow. On hearing the news, Mary drew a deep sigh. But there is so much more that I want to buy. So many shoes that I kept a keen eye on. So many dresses I want to try on. But mommy had already summoned assistant, who replied to her call in no more than an instant. In the blink of an eye, they were all in position, eager to place as they worked for commotion. They loaded their bags in the big 4x4. They filled up the boot and they covered the floor till there was no space left, no place left to park. So they piled even more bags above the sky rack. And off home they drove, mother and daughter, hydrating themselves with Avian water. Mom at the wheel of her new Chelsea tractor, Miss Mary behind her, posed to distract her with pertinent problems like how can one tell between bags that are bootleg and real Chanel? Or questions like, Mom, why don't we have a butler? And other big issues from Vogue and from Tatler. The traffic amazingly wasn't too bad. They arrived in no time at the posh Mayfair Park, a gorgeous split-level detached pedal harry, where Little Miss Mary lived without a care. And that's where we find her, tired from shopping, exhausted from all of that running and hopping, from salon to boutique, with mother and her caddy, buying up Bond Street and all on her daddy, who works all day long, all night long in the city as the chair of the board and as the head of committees, earning big bucks so that she can look pretty. No expense spared on his sweet little kitty. Little Miss Mary made her daddy proud by jumping in queues and by pushing through crowds, by spending his money in all sorts of places, from Moscow to Paris, from Harrods to Macy's. Mary would come, she would see, she would buy, from Cannes to Hong Kong, from Milan to Dubai. If there was a contest, then she would be crowned the world's greatest shopper, pound for pound. But now she was tired and lay on her bed. Musing, in this season, black would be red. Mauling, the fate of poor fabric exporters. If all the designer cut skirts by 3/4, she put on her eye mask and drifted to sleep, counting ship after ship after ship after ship, but all the while thinking how it would be better to use all their wool for Burberry sweater. So little Mary was out like a light, but she didn't sleep long and woke up with a fright. She opened her eyes and was very surprised when a huge hairy monster materialized. The monster yelled "Boo!" to give Mary a scare, but Mary just fixed the great beast with a stare. She looked up and down from his toes to his head with total disdain while the monster stood there. "Why?" asked the monster. "You show me no fear. Have you looked in the mirror? You were just so last year. Your tail isn't bad, but is there a reason for spotting those horns which are just so last season?" The monster was tuned at a loss what to say. His prey wasn't screaming or running away. He wasn't accustomed to such a response. He was used to hysterics, not pale nonchalance. But Mary stayed posed as a lady should be. She displayed no attempt or desire to flee. She turned on the light so that he could see clearer and showed the big monster his face in the mirror. She gawked for a while at his wretched reflection. He winced at his wrinkled and weathered complexion. "My skin feels like leather. I have crusty eyes. What did you expect when you don't moisturize? My nails are all broken. My teeth are all yellow. My fur is in clumps." He let out a blow. "My horns are askew and my coat is molten." He started to sob. "I am truly revolting." "Come on, how now, don't cry," said little Miss Mary. "You don't have a choice. You don't have to be scary. Behind that snarl and that piercing stare, you are just a big softy, a huge teddy bear." But the big hairy monster was not quite as certain. Embarrassed, he wrapped himself up in a curtain and told little Mary that, without a doubt, his hideous creature, he would never come out. Miss Mary agreed. "You are ugly for sure, but it's something you really don't have to endure. So you haven't been blessed with the best of genetics. Who needs Mother Nature when we have cosmetics? For each of your problems, you will find there is a cure. From a deep cleansing facial to a French pedicure to numerous methods for rogue hair removal. So what do you say? Do I have your approval? Would you like to be pampered and fashioned and styled, made over by Mary?" The monster smiled. "I can tell from the smile that it's been quite a while since you have seen a toothbrush or have used a nail file. And I sense from your stench, or at least I presume, that you are also a stranger to soap and perfume." While little Miss Mary stood pinching her nose, the big monster blushed from his head to his toes. "Don't worry," said Mary. "We will give a shower. We will soak you and clean you. We will scrub and we will scrub. We will cleanse and we will tone. We will wax and we will pluck. We will snip and we will peel. We will nip and we will tuck. If you want to look pretty, you are on the right path. Let's start with the basic. You are having a bath." She dragged the big monster inside her and sewed, full of lotion and portion, all fragrant and sweet, full of loafers and sponge to rub and to scrub, and rose-scented candles lit around the top. Once there, the monster forgot all his troubles. In the bed, salt and oil and white fluffy bubbles. And as he relaxed, Mary started her mission. She began by shampooing and then she conditioned. She used tinted toners, tonic and cream. She applied elbow grease, as weird as it seems, because that for Miss Mary was extremely rare. After all, she was heir to billionaire. She rolled up her sleeves and got stuck in her tags. She smelled on the Dead Sea, feminine face mask. She leathered and foamed. She combed and untangled till the monster emerged, spick and span with newfangled. Well, there you go. You no longer smell foul, said little Miss Mary, handing over towel. And now, for the fun part, let's start from the top. To be brutally honest, your hair is mop. I have to be frank, I'm not even sure of how to approach this kind of cover. Maybe a fringe or a crop or a bob, or perhaps French pleat will just do the job. Whatever we do, you will first have to swear. In future, you will take better care of your hair. How on earth did you ever expect to make friends with split ends that have their own split ends? The monster's face faded by at least several shades. Once he spotted the glitz of the sharp scissors blades, frightened, he opted to keep his eyes shut and chew on his nails through his first haircut. Mary danced round his head like a crazed ballerina, like a mad matador in a bullfight arena, dodging his horns while clapping his ears, which, it has to be said, only worsened his fears. The monster's anxiety did not diminish until little Mary announced, "I am finished." He opened his eyes and was over the moon. It looked like his cat was by Vidal Sassoon. His hair was no longer the nest of a vulture, it was modern as like an avant-garde sculpture, geometric yet flowing, organic yet neat, and that's just the mood that lay at his feet. "I'm so happy, Miss Mary. I could give you a kiss. While you have halitosis, I will give that a miss. There is still so much more that needs to be done. Don't think this is over. The fun just began." Mary brushed up his teeth until they were white. She polished his horns so they weren't such a fright. She curled his eyelashes and bathed every nail. She fluffed up his wings and she straightened his tail. The man's monobrow was trimmed and then tweezed. The spots on his nose were steamed and then squeezed. She plucked his disgusting, unsightly nose hair. She peeled and exfoliated a lot of skin layers with caviar granules for dermabrasion, which Mommy's been saving for special occasion. Who swore that the tiny, dry eggs from estrogen were better than dating a top plastic surgeon. The results were amazing, not a wrinkle in sight. The monster could hardly contain his delight. He clapped his big hands and he stomped his feet, but Mary's makeover still wasn't complete. She waited for calm and then said, "I suppose it's time that we found some suitable clothes. My daddy is quite fat, so I'm sure we can find a suit that will fit your enormous behind." They went to the wardrobe and opened the door. It was haute couture, heaven from ceiling to floor. There were shoes, there were suits and dresses galore. Gautier, Givenchy, Chanel, and Dior. Monster was slack-jawed, his eyes open wide. He hadn't the slightest clue how to decide between Prada, Armani, Gucci or Boss. In this maze of designers, he was quite at a loss. But thankfully, little Miss Mary was able to find her way through the labyrinth of labels. She scoured the shelves and rummaged through rails, convinced that the monster would look great in tails. Mary searched for her father's bespoke formal wear. After all, it was Daddy who made her aware that even a monkey dressed up in a tux had a good chance to look like $1,000,000. She furnished the monster with JP toe shoe, a Ralph Lauren shirt, then proceeded to choose a stunning tuxedo from Louis Vuitton and with bated breath waited as he put it on. Within a few moments, Miss Mary could tell that the dressing up part wasn't going so well. It became pretty clear his suit wouldn't fit. When the monster bent down and his trousers split, propriety precludes me from telling you where, but it was, as you guessed, an embarrassing tear. The pants weren't designed for a beast of his size, and the rest of the clothes met a likewise demise. The tailor-made tailcoat was torn into shreds. The shirt was reduced to some bottoms of thread. The waistcoat was wasted. The shoes were too small. His toes burst through them. But then, worst of all, the royal ascot top hat, which was worn to the races, got impaled on the monster's big horn of all places. The final result was the tax was in tatters. The monster had turned haute couture into schmatters. "I cannot believe I could be so naive," said little Miss Mary, a little bit peeved. "I ought to have guessed it so much faster, that getting you dressed would end in disaster." But the big hairy monster was simply aesthetic. He tingled all over, though it may have been static. So what if his clothes were ripped at the seam? They more than exceeded his wildest dreams. "I want to thank you so much. I don't know where to start. Instead of my guts, there is a place in my heart. For Mary, you have changed me both inside and out. I was going to devour you. Now I am devoured. I can't wait to get back to the big monster lair, to show them my clothes, my skin and my hair. I shall teach other monsters how not to be feared." He thanked her once more and with that disappeared. After waving goodbye, Mary drew a deep sigh, lay back and imagined new things she could buy. But hard as she tried, her dreams weren't the same. Compared to the monster, they all seemed so tame. Her entire short life, she would behave like a brat. "Rather, can I have this? And rather, can I have that?" But it looked like she would finally found her passion, not just for herself, but for the big monster fashion. She never imagined one day she may yearn, not for the dress or the shoe, but the monster's return. When all of a sudden she heard something creaking, she sat up and listened to the scraping and squeaking. The closet doors opened and through them came out a movie of monsters with horns, tails and snouts, sharp teeth and long tentacles, talons and trunks, some hairy, some scaly, all smelly as shanks. It's hard to find words to describe their features. They were beyond doubt the ugliest creatures, every single one red, every single one wild, every single one there to be fashioned and styled. What do you do when you are faced with such freaks? Do you faint? Do you run? Do you hide? Do you shriek? Miss Mary's solution was typically check. I will open the world's first monster boutique.